Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January 24th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, the news of the day really includes the news of the weekend because there was so much going on this weekend, so much that we can touch on. And I don't even know where to begin. I mean, you had Elite Prospect Day, you had the Battle 7-on-7 tournament, you had the kickoff event of John Ruiz's NIL escapades, I guess you could say, with Life Wallet and Cigarette Racing Team. And he had all of his new marketing representatives, I guess we'll call them. It's bizarre to think of the Miami players like this, but he had everyone over to his house on Friday for a presentation, little barbecue, just getting acquainted with the Life Wallet folks and himself and his family and what the expectations are. And man, I know some people aren't believing in what he's doing. They want to question him. They want to pull up past business deals that they don't approve of that might have gone bad, things like that. All we can do here at CaneSport is judge what we see in front of our eyes. And you didn't get a chance to join me at this event on Friday, but listen, this looks like the real deal, and we're going to keep covering it as long as it stays that way. And new players went into the fold this weekend. Jake Garcia, Elijah Arroyo signed with them. He even signed the first female athlete, believe it or not, to get an NIL deal with Life Wallet and Cigarette Racing. And golfer Morgan Pankow got $5,000 deal with each company. And now she is part of the NIL. So he's not discriminating. He's signing people up left and right, Matt. He'll get to basketball soon. They've already started with baseball. The players are signing legitimate contracts. He filmed a commercial with Gilbert Frierson. He's going to be filming more commercials. I showed up there. The first thing I saw, I turned to my right, and Tyler Van Dyke and Will Mallory were in makeup chairs getting makeup applied to their face. And that was a unique thing to see. But all in all, I mean, you got to be at least somewhat impressed with what's going on here from an NIL standpoint.
Yeah, it's still amazing to me that there are naysayers out there. I mean, you were at his mansion, Gary. You said there was yachts in the backyard. I don't know how many Lamborghinis.
Cigarette racing boats. I was standing there with Will Mallory, and we were like, Will Mallory was like, I can't believe this. It's like I can't believe
it's amazing.
This has developed for us.
It's amazing. We saw a player get into a Mercedes at UM the other day. These kids are making out great. It's great for the kids, and it's great for everybody. But yeah, so like I said, there are still those naysayers out there. I mean, I was talking to somebody yesterday who was talking about John Ruiz had his house foreclosed on in the last 5 or 10 years. He's gone from a ton of money to nothing, and now the guy's worried. Is this going to happen again to him? I don't know the answers. I'm just telling you this. This is what people are telling me. But the guy lives in a mansion. He's got yachts. He's got cars. He's throwing money around. He seems real to me. He seems real to Gary. So I don't understand why people are people are still saying, oh, it's not gonna work out in the end for Miami. It's gonna be a black eye. People are concerned because they say if Ruiz turns out to be like he was in the last 5 or 10 years, now these kids get stiffed, and now that'll kill recruits. The whole perception of the nation will be, oh my gosh, you can't trust Miami NIL deals. So Ruiz better come through. It sure seems like he will come through, and this could be the greatest thing ever to happen to Miami, or it could be the worst thing if you believe these.
Well, no, it can't possibly be the worst, because here's why. Okay, and I've gotten to know him a little bit. I mean, we're not best friends or anything, but I've gotten to know him a little bit at a business level, We've had extensive conversations. I've been to his home multiple times now and done interviews with him. I'm seeing what he's doing. I'm seeing what the players think about it. I spoke to a parent the other night when I was at his house, Randy Garcia, Jake Garcia's dad. I mean, we've covered this thing from every angle, and everything seems great. I mean, it's all upbeat. I mean, the stadium idea has now become a dome stadium, and there's promises it's going to be better than Hard Rock, and like, I mean,
listen, that I don't believe. But like, it's still amazing to me that there's people out there who are doubting this guy and are saying, oh, I guess it's based on he has had some issues. But I mean, the guy certainly seems to have the money now, and he seems to want to help Miami now. Like, that should be enough, right? So
it's his passion, man. He's at the games. I've seen him at the last 2 basketball games.
Yep.
Sitting there and watching the games. And look, I mean, I don't understand why. First of all, what's the downside? The only downside would be that he would default on the contracts with the players, and the players theoretically wouldn't get the money that he's contracting.
Well, listen, that has waves that go beyond that. That better not have that's not just that, Gary.
No,
that
I
has
agree,
repercussions that go far beyond.
No, I understand, but my point is this: these players don't have these. They never had these deals before. So for these players, it's nothing but a win-win. And you have to assume he's not entering into all of these contracts. He's already signed like 20 football players. He's signing women's golfers now and other athletes. You got to believe he's not entering into all these deals with all these individuals with the intent of not following through with them.
Listen, nobody ever enters into deals with the intent that won't work out. But this has to work out because, like you said, okay, you said that all that happens if it doesn't work out, which some people seem to think it may not for whatever reason. I don't understand it. But those that say that, you say, okay, well, so then they don't have the money. But no, it goes far beyond that. It has to work out. He has to pay, because otherwise, can you picture all the other major programs that are coming through on their NIL deals and what will happen in Miami when they tell Miami recruits, yeah, well, listen, you get promised this by so-and-so, but look what happened. You can't trust Miami boosters, whatever. Like, it would be a disaster. So this guy has to come through. He will come through. He should come through. There's no reason to think he won't come through, other than these people who keep telling me in the past he had some problems. But I also have heard he has $100 million in the bank. So, like, $100 million, and he's supposed to have $1 billion more based on these deals he's trying to close.
$28 billion more.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll take the $100 million for now. Let's get the $1 billion after that and go from there. Yeah.
All right, but anyway, so it was quite an event Friday night. We have a ton of coverage on the website if you missed it. A whole bunch of interviews with players, with John Ruiz, with Randy Garcia, Jake Garcia's dad. Like I said, so you can really get the picture from a lot of different angles. I encourage everybody to take a look at all that and form your own opinions. What we're saying really, doesn't have to necessarily be relevant. We're forming our own opinions based on what we're seeing, and we're covering it extensively because it's the talk of the program right now. And this is right now, as it's coming together, the top NIL program in America. Okay,
which is amazing. I mean,
is amazing.
That's the key to Miami. This is the new recruiting is NIL. So like this should get 5-star to Miami. 5-star after 5-star after 5-star should be coming because of this. Period.
And it's a huge story, and we're treating it as such. And devoting a lot of resources to coverage of this, and I hope you guys are interested in it out there because it's really captivating. And the amazing thing is that this is really just the beginning. The Moss brothers are putting their own NIL program together and bringing some other leaders in the business community together to do a separate NIL effort in addition to what John Ruiz is doing. And then we still haven't heard from Dan Lambert, who started all of this a year ago when he committed $6,000 to every Miami player through American Top Team. We haven't heard from him yet. Like, what's he going to do this next year? Is he going to be able to recruit other companies to get involved? By the time we get to the summer, folks, I mean, think about the possibilities of this. Now, Matt, I do want to say one thing that I've noticed. And I think there's some people starting to flip out over the idea that these players are going to be making more money in these NIL deals than a lot of people who work in the building at the athletic center and in the football program and stuff. And I think that I'm seeing like some people like are a little thrown by what's going on. And I never really processed it from that angle. And we don't have to really talk about it right now on this show, but it is kind of interesting. Like, like you said, we're seeing players getting into Mercedes. We're, players that's going to become the norm.
No, come on. Players in the NFL make more than their coaches. There's no reason a college can't make more than his coach either.
I agree.
I don't think that factors into anything.
I agree. And somebody else said to me,
they still want to work hard. The coach is still trying to get the kids to work hard and, and make his next move up in the coaching ladder. That's irrelevant to me.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? Somebody said to me the other day, how does Gilbert Frierson get $50,000? And you know what my response was? Who are you to decide what Gilbert Frierson's market value is? Gilbert Frierson's market value is what Gilbert Frierson could command in NIL contracts. And if there's somebody there, whether it's John Ruiz or somebody else, who's willing to pay him $50,000 to do commercials or whatever, that's their business. And it's not for the outside world to make all of these judgments. And part of what I'm seeing is so many people wanting to make judgments on what's going on. And I'm not sure it's fair to all the parties involved.
And by the way, the biggest impact of NIL that nobody talks about, everyone talks about getting 5-star recruits, which they will get with great NIL deals. But no one talks yet about the impact, because we haven't really seen it yet, of getting kids to come back, right? A kid who's not going to be a first rounder, you can get a second round kid to come back with not that much money you have to put in. I mean, it'll be a significant amount, 6 figures, but you can get that kid to come back now. And kids like the Joe Yearbys of the world won't have to leave now. They won't be forced to try and make money for their families now. I mean, it's got such wide-ranging implications, all positive for players beyond just incoming players. It's fantastic, I think, for any college football athlete. Makes me wish that I was playing college football right now as a premier athlete.
No
I would have better than my library internship job I had at Tufts back in the day. It would have made a little more money, would have been a little more exciting than sitting and handing law library students their books. But
All right, so we'll continue to chronicle the NIL news at the U. It's absolutely captivating. But let's move on now, Matt, to Elite Prospect Day, which was held on Saturday, and an absolutely star-studded crew of players coming to the U to check out Mario Cristobal and the current state of the program. And, you and I are in agreement. We talked about this over the weekend, that they probably had too many players come out. It kind of swelled to like 250, 300 players. Probably way too much to handle in a situation like that and really give the proper attention to everybody. But all in all, after speaking to all the kids and some of the coaches and things like that, I think you and I are probably also in agreement that the day did pay significant dividends, and Miami seems to be moving in the right direction with a lot of these top kids.
Yeah, there's still so much time left. You don't say no to a kid. You don't not invite a kid to your first major event. There were too many kids. Absolutely. I heard that feedback. There was just too many kids there. It is what it is. The kids that stayed until 8:30 p.m., they got one-on-ones with Cristobal. If you left right after the basketball game or right after the photo shoot, you probably didn't get a one-on-one with Cristobal unless you were a 5-star or a high 4-star. It is what it is. The major disappointment for me from the day, and I was very disappointed to hear this, they still had cornhole, Gary. Kids showed up. They were able to play cornhole. That's Manny. I mean, I'm sorry. That's he who cannot be named territory. Get rid of the cornhole, Mario. I don't want to hear about kids playing cornhole anymore. Other than that, it was a great day.
Well, I'm glad you remembered the he who not be named, because I just want you to know for future purposes.
Oh, here we go.
I have this ready, and with a click of a button, I can get this reminder up on the screen for you if you ever do forget. But yeah, hey, for now,
let me tell you, this is something because we're still sort of getting to know Mario Cristobal, the recruiter, and all this stuff. Just some anecdotes I heard from the event that people might like that we haven't already reported. Okay, so Alex Mirabal obviously was at the event, and I was talking to one kid who. Alex was moving around, sitting next to different kids, talking to different kids, which is what a great recruiter does, right? You don't just sit next to one kid you really want the whole time. I mean, then you lose everybody else. So he's moving around, and one of the kids said at one point he wanted to get a one-on-one conversation with Mirabal. Sorry, and so Alex says, "Yeah, sure. Let's go outside of the seated area and go talk out in the. They have for those of you that haven't been to the Wasco Center, there's a big like circular area outside of the main arena where everyone walks around, you get your food, whatever. So they go out there, and the kid says, I had wanted to talk one-on-one with Mirabal, but every fan that walked by us wanted a selfie with Mirabal. It's like he's a celebrity already. Like the kid was more impressed not getting the one-on-one conversation, but seeing how everyone reacted to Mirabal at the Watsco Center, basketball fans. Like that was he was like, it was amazing. It was like his best moment was watching Mirabal get swarmed by fans who were 10 feet taller than Mirabal, asking for selfies and bending down to get selfies with Mirabal's face in them. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I gleaned, and this is not related so much to Elite Prospect Day. I wish it wasn't 3 words. It's so hard to remember. Elite Prospect Day. Anyway, so speaking to a lot of kids at the event, after the event, which I didn't realize that Cristobal did this, which is brilliant what he does. So every recruit that's high up on Mario's radar, he sets up 2 different kinds of texts. A group text that has the prospect and his family, every single family, it could be mom, dad, cousins, little brothers, the whole family is on this group text with Mario and the kid. And then Mario has a separate text just with the kid. And one of the kids I talked to who was on a visit, actually it's a story this morning, the defensive end, Pyburn, who was on a visit, I guess he went to Florida State and then Auburn this weekend. And he says the group chat was getting lit up. The individual chat was getting lit up the whole time. Like, and he loved it. The kid loved it. I'm like, was that okay for you? He's like, oh, it was great. I love talking with those guys, talking with Mario, and it's on my family chat. And he thought it was really funny. And so, I think that's another little, just goes to show that, yeah, there was too many kids. Yeah, there wasn't enough coaches to handle all the kids. For instance, the defense, they had individual meetings for each position group, and the linebackers group, because there's no linebackers coach, they got put in with Joe Salavea and the defensive linemen and just watch defensive line film. Like, it is what it is, but you still get to know the program. You get to know the culture, what they want to build, and that sort of thing. So there was this, listen, it was a great event for what they were able to do. You can't expect it to be like what I thought it might be, with chest bumping every kid, elevator doors opening every time, and they're all there standing and cheering. You can't do it with 250, 300 kids. So I'm looking forward to when they have smaller, more intimate kids that show up for a day in the spring, maybe 4 or 5 kids there on a practice day in the spring, how they treat those kids. Because I think those kids will get the real star treatment. But this, for a huge event, I think Mario handled it the best that you can. It's like if your kid has a party at your house and it's just you and your wife home, or if it's a woman, you and your husband home. I think we have a 2% viewership of women on the YouTube channel, Gary. Is that about right?
I don't know. I haven't seen the demographics.
Then, picture your kid with 50 of his friends inside your house, because we're going to make it 50 kids to compare to the 250. That's basically what they were dealing with. 50 kids in your house, teenagers, wanting to have fun, wanting to talk to you and take selfies with you and your wife or your husband. And that's what Mario was dealing with from 8 in the morning until 8:30 at night was when I heard the last group sort of left. So for 12 hours, you had 50 kids partying at your house. That's not easy, right? But Mario did the best you can do in that sort of situation.
All right. So, it sounds like we agree. Successful Elite Prospect Day. And now, of course, they move on here to the home stretch of 2022 recruiting, hoping to get a couple more transfers. We are expecting a commitment relatively soon on one. And look, I mean, things seem to be in a pretty good place right now, as well as you could expect with the time stamp that's applied to what's going on right now in recruiting. They're adding some good pieces to the roster. We think they're in a real good place with Shamar Stewart. Very interesting tweet by Shamar when he came home from his Georgia visit. He said He tweeted out, "Had a good time in Georgia, but now I'm back home, Miami. What's up?" So if you want to read the tea leaves into that, as long as he's not trolling everybody, I think Shamar Stewart's feeling pretty good about the U right now. And I'll be surprised if he doesn't come to Miami here in a couple weeks, Matt.
Listen, I don't read into tweets because generally kids don't want you to know where they're going and they want to have a big announcement. So any kid who says anything great about Miami, I actually prefer they don't do that. So Shamar, stop tweeting about Miami and how great Miami is, blah, 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 blah. I feel better about it when you don't do that, okay? And I will say the feedback from all the top recruits off that were involved on Friday or Saturday at Elite Prospect Day were off the charts. The kids were super friendly, super excited to talk to us, to share their feedback, all except for one kid who Jaleel Florence me. You want to know who Jaleel Florence me, Gary?
Yeah, who?
Richard Young. I called him once.
I'm surprised by that.
I called him once. I said, hey, fans are super excited to hear how the day went. It's Matt Shodell over at CaneSport and Rivals. Click. So he Jaleel Florence me. I didn't bother him. I just texted him. Sorry if I caught you at a bad time. Let me know if we could talk at some point. And he Jaleel Florence me again. No response. So it is what it is. This is what fans don't see. Like, we don't like to bother kids, but we, of course, reach out to get their feedback. Some of them just aren't interested. It doesn't mean Richard Young doesn't like Miami. It doesn't mean that he didn't have a great time, but it does mean he doesn't want to talk to us. So, and it's funny because, you and I talk about this, Gary. When it gets to crunch time in recruiting, a lot of times, like you talk about reading the tea leaves with tweets, we would never make a prediction off this. But you can sometimes tell if you talk to a kid like regularly and they're taking your calls, they love talking to you, have a great rapport, and then they stop talking to you and stop responding. 90% of the time, those kids wind up not coming to Miami. And a lot of times the kids who weren't talking to you all of a sudden want to talk to you and love talking to you, they're coming to Miami because they know we're going to be covering them as University of Miami Hurricanes. They don't want to estrange us. They want us to be, buddies with them and sort of help progress their career and write nice stories about them as they go along in their Miami career. So it makes sense. So you could read tea leaves with whatever, but as 2023 gets a little closer to November, December, we'll let you guys know. These guys are talking to us a lot. These guys aren't. These guys Jaleel Florence us, and we'll just go from there.
All right. Moving on here to some other subjects, Matt. Let's talk a little bit about Jack Pyburn. He's the kid, the defensive end linebacker prospect out of Jacksonville. Initially was committed to Minnesota, has blown up in recruiting, decommitted from Minnesota, now is bouncing between Miami and Auburn, says it's 50-50, went to Auburn for a second time this past weekend, and basically told us that Mario Cristobal texts him every about 15 seconds. Suddenly Jack Pyburn has become one of Miami's priority recruits, clearly. And just your thoughts on where things might stick with him right now. And with the caveat being there is a story on the website this morning about his weekend.
Yeah, well, I'll share something I didn't put in that story. Listen, fans probably don't agree with this, but it's not our job, Gary, even as CaneSport reporters, to tell a kid they should come to Miami and not go to that school. That's not our job, And if a kid asks me, something specific about UM, of course I'll answer it for him, but I'm not going to say, oh, you should come to Miami, don't go to Auburn or whatever. But I did tell Jack Pyburn, I said, listen, Jack, you'll do great at either school. But I will tell you this, because he told me he likes eating stone crabs. I said, Jack, just so you know, pretty sure they don't have stone crabs in Auburn. I know they have them in Miami. And he says, you're right, Matt. He says, you're right. And, because he went to Monty's right down the street from where I live and had stone crabs. I know he loves stone crabs. And I sent him a picture as you guys who watch regularly on this show, you poor souls who watch this regularly, as you know. I did show you a picture that I sent to Jack Pyburn. I texted him when he went to Monty's. I said, tell him you want this size claw. And I showed him a picture of one of the claws that I texted him one of the claws that I caught out in the Biscayne Bay. But so anyway, the thing that bothers me with Jack, and we have great conversations. I love that kid. The thing that bothers me is generally when you see a kid take an official visit to Auburn and then an unofficial visit to Miami after the official to Auburn, and he's in Miami for 24 hours basically, arrived Sunday night, was there Monday, and then left. So has a whole weekend, and Friday to Sunday through Sunday morning in Auburn, one full day in Miami. Then the next weekend, which is this past weekend, goes back to Auburn unofficially. And when I said, innocently enough, just why did you decide to go back to Auburn? He says, I wanted more of my family to see it. That's not really what you want to hear as a Miami fan,
No.
right? Because if he's already pretty much made a decision date, which he has now, February 1st, and he's not taking any other visits the weekend before he announces, he says he doesn't really know where he's going. And I believe him. He's still got to go through his due diligence. But I think in his mind, he probably has a decent idea, even though he don't want to say it, what he's going to do. Like, why would you go back to Auburn if you know you're going to be a Hurricane, for instance, or if you're pretty sure you'll be a Hurricane? Like, he's already seen Miami. If he fell in love with Miami, wanted to go, why go back to Auburn? And he did take a visit to FSU. I will mention as well over the weekend. FSU's out of it, so it's still Auburn, Miami. But you read the tea leaves. It's not great. Now Mario is coming for an in-home tomorrow. That can help shake things up a little bit, perhaps. Maybe somebody will anonymously call Jack Pyburn and say, "Hey, there's a $500,000 NIL deal from John Uriz waiting for you if you do pick Miami." I don't know. So certainly things can change on a dime in recruiting, but then Auburn coaches are coming in Wednesday, a day after Miami, to undo whatever Miami's done. It's just not a great situation if you look at it just on the merits. With that said, I mean, the kid likes Miami. Anything could happen, but on face value, not great right now. And he hasn't told either side, "Hey, I'm coming," as far as I know, certainly from the Miami side. So we'll see.
All right, so there's a full update on Jack Pyburn on the website this morning as well, along with breakdowns on all the recruits that visited over the weekend. You can catch up on pretty much everybody. So a lot on the website this morning for you guys to absorb, including an update on Damon Fagan also as well from his visit this weekend. So a lot of recruiting news for you to sink your teeth into. If you missed some of it over the weekend, you can catch up pretty well this morning. Okay, a couple other things on the website today that we'll talk about before we go. We got a story on Aaron Feld talking for the first time just about his, the work that he's starting to do with the players, how he does mindset training in addition to his high octane workouts. It's a big part of what Aaron Feld is all about. He's training their minds as well as their bodies. So you can learn a little bit about that in the story on Aaron Feld.
Can I interject for one moment?
Yeah.
All right. I know you got to get your morning tea or whatever it is you're going to go do, and
I'm hungry as hell, man.
McMuffin or whatever it is.
I got to go get something to eat.
Something that struck me about Aaron Feld, he says he doesn't punish players if they're late to their 5 a.m. workout or whatever the case may be. And I found that, I would say, to put it mildly, stunning, But then you mentioned the whole mindfulness, and that it really feeds into the idea that get to the root of the problem. Why was the kid late? Why is the kid perpetually having a problem? What is causing this, and how do we fix it versus punish the behavior? And it is almost, Mario, for instance, told Jack Pyburn, "If you come here, I'll treat you like my son." It is almost like treating somebody like your child, like your son, like you care about them, not punish them just because they did something wrong, but explain why they shouldn't do that behavior. What caused the behavior? Can we fix the behavior? And I think if it's true, I'm not sure if he was telling the truth, but if it's true, because I never heard of no punishment for a football player for doing something wrong, then that's great. And I actually spoke to Logan Sagapoulou. I don't know how to say his last name exactly correctly, but that's the Oregon offensive lineman who basically only has Miami in his picture, from what he's told us. So, we would have to think he would enroll. I think the deadline to enroll is Wednesday. So assuming he has everything in gear, we would think he'd be enrolling Wednesday. So I asked him, I said, "Listen, I got to ask you, Miami fans are just going to know Aaron Feld." And he did an interview where he said he never punished anybody. I said, it's just about mindfulness and sort of helping get to the root of the problem. I said, "Listen, Logan, I just want to check with an actual player who's worked with Aaron Feld." And Logan, by the way, says great things about Aaron Feld. I mean, helped him develop and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But aside from that, I really just want to know, did he ever get punished? Did he actually punish kids? I said, "So Logan, is this true? Does he really not punish kids who are late to workouts?" And Logan, just total deadpan voice, says to me, "I was never late to a workout. Next question." So I still have an answer if it's true or not. But, Feld says it's true. Logan didn't dispute it, although he was never late, apparently, to a workout. So that's what we got.
That's awesome. And we also have a story on Mario Cristobal today, talking a little bit about some different topics, how recruits are fired up, how his plan is coming together, and that's worth checking out as well this morning. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. I hope that brings you up to speed a little bit on what's been going on. A lot for you to catch up on the website. We'll have a lot more stuff, I think, coming today. We might get a commitment today. Jim Larinaga will be speaking today. And I'm sure, John Ruiz will probably sign a few more NIL deals today. And, there could be obviously some other developments as well. So stay tuned to the website as the day goes forward. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you, as always, for joining us on Good Morning CaneSport. Have a great day, everyone.